Yo, 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 Oliver, how are you doing, buddy? Hello there, guys, and welcome back to, once again, another live stream here on the Speed Force Racing YouTube channel. I am back at it again with another video here, as it is going to be Season 16, Round 12 of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Division 3. Today we've got 18 people in the lobby, which is going to be a spectacular amount of racers. Usually we don't tend to see that many people in other leagues, but here in Speed Force Racing, of course, we almost always have a full grid. 18 people on the grid today. Hopefully we're not going to be seeing any Sainz Perez kind of incidents like we saw last Sunday. Unfortunately, I didn't watch that race, but of course, I watched the replays, and a lot of interesting things happened during that race. Hopefully every one of you is doing all right. Me, myself, I'm a little bit sad because I just got back from vacation. I want to go back again, but, you know, you cannot always go on vacation when you want to. We've got things to do. John Mobes is one of the guys who I've not commentated on yet. Maybe he's going to be able to do something here today in Azerbaijan. Apart from that, we have got quite some familiar names. Mr. Wiggles, of course, teamed up with, I think that must be the V-Car, and yes, it is. We've got Cowboy, also a very familiar, well, a very new name to me, but I think he's a very familiar name in Speed Force Racing. We've got the Ferrari team, Ellie and Simo, of course. I'm already seeing a couple of fans in the chat. We've got Origulas and Maggi in the Williams team. That hasn't changed from last week, or the week before. Then we've got that beautiful Norwegian team in the Haas, Burley and Mitrandir, both drivers doing an absolutely amazing job during the Constructors' Championship and just the championship in general, the Drivers' Championship, of course. Then we've got Prep and Halvor in the Kick Sauber team, Silver Fox, and let me double check. It doesn't seem like he has a teammate tonight. So Silver Fox is going to be alone in the Red Bull Visa Keshep car. The Mercedes team is, of course, well, filled with Big Pro, and the other teammate is Stjank, all the way in P9 at the moment. As Azerbaijan, a very interesting track, and we might want to mention the other driver who we haven't mentioned yet, which is Gox in the Aston Martin car, the only Aston Martin car on the grid today. And then, of course, the Red Bull team. You cannot forget about them, of course, Doran and Billy G in P7 and P8, currently on that lap. But we're going to focus on John Mopes here as he's coming down the main straight at the moment. A lot of straight line speed needed here in Azerbaijan as he's going into turn 1, hard braking zone, 90 degrees corner to your left. And then we are going down the straight into turn 2. Another DRS opportunity for the guys here coming out of turn 2. As that will be a very strategical way of how you're going to be able to make an overtake into turn 3. Of course, another 90 degrees corner. It kind of looks like a square, a rectangle there in sector 1, and then we're heading into sector 2, which is a more technical sector where you do need a little more downforce to be able to go through the corners. John Mopes seemed to be going quite nice coming through sector 1, although I don't think he's going full throttle as he's coming through that little chicane. And we've got another chicane coming right up. That is the castle section, of course, for the guys who are not familiar with Azerbaijan. We have that iconic, you know, phrase from Charles Leclerc, "I am stupid," when he went into the wall there. AWS, as you can see. And Big Pro retired from the session already. He has got a qualifying ban for tonight. So does another driver. I can't quite remember from the top of my head who that was. As John Mopes currently coming into sector 3. He's got the Kick-Sauber driver ahead of him. He's quite far ahead, so I don't think he's going to cause any issues. Neither is he going to give him a slipstream, so the Kick-Sauber driver should be good to go, as that will be prep or hell for us. Mitrandir just came across the line, 140.3. Not a bad time at all by the Haas driver, but I do think we're going to see that getting beaten today here in Azerbaijan. Maybe by John Mopes, as he's currently on a fast one. Down the straight he goes, ERS wide open. And also the DRS, of course, here down the straight. It doesn't seem like he's using any DRS. Is that maybe a glitch? He puts a 142.4 on the board. Not the best time, as Ali just came across the line with a 141.7, so a decent time by the Ferrari driver. We might want to go on board with Billy G. Doesn't seem to go on a fast one. He might be giving a little bit of slipstream to the LP driver right behind him. As that will be Billy G in P2. It seems like he was on a fast one, a 140.8. As then we've got the V car putting in some practice in these last couple of weeks. So 140.1. He's improving week in, week out, and we can see that here currently in the qualifying. 140.1, not bad at all. We might want to go on board with Mr. Wiggles, as Mr. Wiggles, the V-Car's teammate, might have gotten a little slipstream from the V-Car down the straight, as that is indeed what you need here around Azerbaijan. A very tricky track. A very long track as well. You know, you've got a lap takes about 1 minute 40 seconds, which is one of the longest tracks on the F1 calendar. From the top of my head, I think Belgium is a little bit longer. Then Azerbaijan is, of course, up there together with Belgium. And there's another track. I can't think of it quite instantly. It doesn't matter too much as Mr. Wiggles comes through the corners. The castle section is what I wanted to say, but he was so tied to the corners I didn't even know what to say. Here comes Mr. Wiggles into turn 12, 13, and 14 as Emils in the chat says, finally Burley's favorite track. So Burley currently in P11. Doesn't seem like it's his favorite track after all, because P11 is not a great start of the qualifying for the Haas driver, but maybe he can pinch off a couple of seconds there from that time. Oliver in the chat says could be seeing 139s, and I think that must be the case. The V-Car is usually not the fastest qualifier here in Division 3, and a 140.1 is definitely very, very competitive. So let's see if Mitrandir or Burley is even gonna improve on that time. Yo, Keeves, how are you doing, buddy, in the chat? And we've got another Doran fan. So Doran currently in P8 with a 141.5. Definitely some opportunities there for the Red Bull drivers. We might want to go on board with, let's go on board with Eurigulas, as Cowboy just has retired from the session. That might be the other qualifying band driver who's going to be right ahead of Chris Big Pro. The guys are able to use their setup, so just coming into the pit lane, they can choose their setups and then they have to retire, unfortunately. But that does ensure that they have the right setup during the race. The guys are not able to switch setups during the qualifying and the race, so right now most of the guys are probably running a race setup, and that is where we're going to be seeing a little bit of time off, well, extra on those qualifying times, as I've got a little girlfriend here trying to be interesting. Oh, by the way, guys, I got a little cough. I just got back from the United States, and there's a lot of like airco and all that kind of stuff, so yeah, my throat is not all right. But as we're coming into Sector 3, Aurigulas right behind that Kick Sauber driver, as that will be a prep or hell for. We usually see the Kick Sauber drivers go out together, and this time around that will be prep there in Sector 3. As Aurigulas now coming through those fast left-right handers. You do need to watch out with the DRS. Well, a couple of years ago they used to enable the DRS right coming through those fast left-right handers, and we saw a lot of guys crash because of that, because they carried too much speed to go through the corners. But this time around they changed that. Now you're only able to use the DRS after the corners. As you can see there, Aurigulas coming across the line with a P14. Simo is about to complete indeed. My apologies, Oliver. Simo putting a 143.1, as I think she's definitely going to try and get that beaten tonight. As there's a Williams driver right behind Simo. Oh, and he clips the wall there. Not a great ID. As Gox is still in the pit lane. He managed to do a last to first challenge a couple of weeks ago, which I'm very happy about, but it seems like he's going to try to qualify last once again. Well, he's not going to try. He's going to do it anyway if he doesn't come into the pits. I mean, if he doesn't come out of the pits, that is what I meant to say. And I think Maggi was up on his lap, but Ferrari driver right behind him, that will be Sumo. I'm always saying Sumo, but it's actually Simo. My apologies, Simo. If you're listening, my apologies. Let's go on board with prep. Just came across the line, improved by about 500, and that will be a 141.5 for the Kick Sauber driver. As there's not too many drivers on the track at the moment, we might want to go on board with Mitrandir, as he's going to start one pretty soon coming through those fast left-right handers. As I said before, the guy's not able to use DRS coming through there, and right after this corner section they will be able to. So here comes Mitrandir down the straights. Gox being Gox, not doing quali. Lol is what Oliver says in the chat. And yes, indeed, Gox is a driver who wants challenges on track, and he gets them every week. He's just not able to get an advantage out of them every now and then. But a couple of weeks ago he managed to do it last to first, and this time around he's going to try and do the same thing. And I think that is definitely an opportunity. Well, I mean, a good chance that he's going to get it here around Azerbaijan. Let's say the chance of getting a last to first work in Gox's case is like a 1% on every other track. Here in Azerbaijan, the safety car rates are a little bit higher. There's a lot of guys who are going to be crashing tonight. So his chances are of getting a race win here, starting from last, are bumping up a little bit with the minute going into the race. But today, I think that's going to be hard. I think it's going to be hard. You know, you've got both the Alpine drivers currently in P1 and P3. You've got Mitrandir, who is on a flyer at the moment. He's really fast. He's got his teammate ahead of him as well, who's going to give him a little slipstream, and that will be Burley. And on the other hand, Burley will be able to get that slipstream again from his teammate coming into lap 3 from Mitrandir, that is. But Burley probably his first lap, although he seems like he's not on an outlap. I think he's on a fast one, so he's not going to give a slipstream to his teammate. That is very interesting. But we're going to be seeing Mitrandir coming into Sector 3, fastest second sector so far for the Haas driver. I was going to say MoneyGram driver, but of course that is not the main sponsor of this team. That is Haas. And I heard some rumors that Haas wasn't going to be on the grid next season, or like the season after. I can't remember quite well, as there is just come another driver come across the line. That will be Burley with a 141.0, but another fastest lap for Mitrandir. Xiang just coming across the line with a 139.7. Great time by the Mercedes driver. Just puts Mitrandir back in P2. He said, go back to where you belong. Norwegian driver, and Stank also a Norwegian driver, so actually burning himself there. And both the Norwegian drivers currently take a P1 and P2, and I think that Norwegian, alliance here in Speed Force Racing is just too strong. Look at that. All the WR drivers are Norwegian. I think it's a Norwegian league, so I would assume, or a Norwegian esports team. I can't quite remember. Oliver in the chat was indeed right with 139 somethings. As another driver just came across the line. That will be Doran in a P5. Look at that, a 140.7, about a second behind P1. As the guys at the back of the grid still have to come out on track, but there's still plenty of time at the moment. 6 more minutes to go. As Burley, 141.0. I'm not too convinced this is his favorite track. It might be his favorite track, but having a favorite track doesn't always resonate in being the fastest around there. Usually he's a little bit faster than P9, but maybe the other guys ahead of him have done a little bit more practice on the track. Maybe he's just reached his limits, and the other guys are not at their limits yet, and that means that, of course, Burley is going to drop down a couple of positions during the qualifying. Maybe he's got a little magic trick during the race. You never know, strategy-wise, maybe setup-wise. That might indicate why he's so slow tonight, but we're going to focus on some other drivers as well. Maybe Ellie with a P6. Look at that time from the Ferrari driver. It is not something I would have expected from Ellie, who's usually below the top 10, currently in P6 with 140.8. Might want to go on board with Silver Fox again, currently entering a sector 2. Is there somebody in the wall? And that will be a Ferrari car. Look out. That was, I can't remember who it was. Oh, and Silver Fox goes into the wall. Obviously caught off guard because of that Ferrari car in the wall. That will be Simo, I think. Let me just double check. It will indeed be Simo who crashed into the Wall of Champions. Wall of Champions, dude. I'm not in Canada. In the how do you say that? The castle section? I don't know. Doesn't matter too much. Here comes John Mopes on a fast one, and he's got a little bit of traffic up ahead. Hopefully he's not gonna get held up, because that is a driver's worst nightmare during a qualifying session. You know, you're on such a good lap, you're improving by 2, 3, maybe 4 tenths, as John Mopes is currently down on his time by 4 tenths, so he's not going to be improving. But let's say you're improving by 3, 4 tenths, you know, you've got that only sector 3 to still tackle, and then there's a guy ahead of you who's going really slow, who's going to hold you up, and all of a sudden you're way slower than you were before. And yeah, that is always a little bit interesting for the guys, and it's usually bringing a lot of anger out of the drivers during a qualifying. We sometimes see drivers who are going straight into the general chat, pinging the guy who impeded them and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then, yeah, the other guy said, yeah, sorry, I didn't see you. That's usually the case, but, I mean, obviously, it ruined the lap. I don't know if we have seen any impedings tonight. Maybe, yeah, I mean, you can't really call that an impeding by Simo. If you crash out, you crash out. It's not on purpose. It's out of your control, let's say it like that. Here comes Matt G into the castle section. A very fast castle section there for the Williams driver. As Oliver in the chat says, ERS will be so crucial to save. And yes, indeed it will be. Mainly because during the last couple of laps, we see a lot of guys trying to slow down a little bit to grab the DRS from the guys who are at that point behind them. And they want to grab that DRS when they're in front of them. So Ellie currently retired from the session already. That will be in the pit lane. Will it not? I think it will be. As I was saying, the guys wanting to have the DRS, and then when you have a little bit of DRS saved, you can drain all of that down the straight. And yeah, obviously you're going to keep the position because the DRS straight is so long here around Azerbaijan. The straight in general is very long. Here comes Matt G. It does not improve on his time. 43 thousandths slower. Let's have a quick look who is on the lap as well. Hell for about 9 seconds down on his time. Silver Fox coming down the straight. Is he going to come back into the pits? Doesn't look like it. Down the straight he goes. Silver Fox, no, comes back into the pits. Hell for, no, that's Sean coming into the pits. Let's go on board with Billy G, who just put himself on pole position. Look at that time from the Red Bull driver, 139.4. Will we be able to grab a 138 tonight? I think the chances are very slim. But yeah, well, you know, never say never. Never say never. Here comes Mr. Wiggles, not up in his time, about 1.5 more minutes to go. As he's going to go for one or straight away into turn 1 he goes. ERS wide open. As he's going to go back into turn 2. Touches a little bit of curb there on the entry. That is usually something you do or do not want to do. That depends on your setup. And when you're running a very low setup, you want to... I mean, low to the ground, of course. You don't want to touch that curb because you're going to be slamming to the wall. As in turn 3, you can take a lot of curb there down the inside. Into turn 4, he doesn't take the curb, which is a good thing. You don't want to touch that curb either. Into turn 5, 6, and 7. Then, of course, the little chicane. Beautifully done. He's got the fastest first sector so far, and I'm really wondering whether Wiggles is going to take pole position tonight, maybe with a 138. That is yet to come. Takes a lot of curb into turn 7, into turn 8, 9, and 10. Of course, the castle section, a very difficult technical sector, and this seems to be going really well for Mr. Wiggles. Let's see what the British man can do here around Azerbaijan. A lot of British people here tonight. representing Speed Force Racing League, but also the Norwegians are present. Into Sector 3 goes Mr. Wiggles. Oh, plays around with the track limits there. Almost touches the wall. And heading into Sector 3. Fastest second sector as well, and he's up on his time by about a second. And that will be a 139.3. Let's see if he's going to be able to put a 138 on the board. The qualifying is over, so this will be the last lap for Mr. Wiggles. Does he have ERS safe? He doesn't have any ERS safe. It will not be enough for 138, maybe a 139. Let's see what Mr. Wiggles will do. 139.2, improved by about a second and 500ths. And it will be bull time for Mr. Wiggles. What will Stank be doing? About 4/10 down on his time. Won't be enough. Mitrandir maybe. Down the straight he goes. Right ahead of that Mercedes driver. Only a handful of drivers still on track at the moment. And Mitrandir will not improve in his time. Look at that. 1.3 seconds slower. Halvor not up in his time either. Burley has to improve. Seems like he's 5 seconds down on his time as well. He's not draining any ERS. So that won't be an improvement either for the Haas driver. What will Simo be doing? Down the straight as she goes, and it will not be an improvement. 1.2 seconds down on her time. And that will be the qualifying here around Azerbaijan. Mr. Wiggles takes pole time with a 139.2. And then we've got Billy G and Stank on the qualifying podium. After them, we've got Mitrandir and the V-Car finishing off the top 5. And later, we will finish off the top 18, of course. Gox once again not putting a qualifying on the board. Neither did Cowboy and Chris Pro. Both drivers having a qualifying ban. And then, of course, Gox trying to go for a last to first challenge once again. Simo with a 143.1. Good time, but not really there yet. Maybe next week. Maybe Azerbaijan is not a good track for her. That could be the case. As Burley just retired from the session. Halvor still coming into the pits. As that will be as that will be qualifying over here in Azerbaijan. Alpine 1 and 5. A great quality for them. Yes, indeed, Oliver. I agree with that. Mr. Wiggles doing a great job there. Grabbing P1, and my mom will be happy. She's gonna drop into the room later. She's gonna say, Mr. Wiggles is P1. And I'm gonna say, yeah, he's in P1. And she's gonna be cheering. Every time I'm doing a stream, she's asking after Mr. Wiggles. You got a big fan there, Mr. Wiggles. All right, this is going to be the results. Mr. Wiggles in P1, Billy in P2, and then we've got Stank in P3. Further, we've got Mitrandir, the V-Car, Doran, Prep, Halvor, Ellie, and Matt G in the top 10. After them, we have got Burley, Silver Fox, Origulas, John, Simo, Cowboy, Big Pro, and then we've got Gox all the way at the back of the grid. 3 drivers who haven't finished a qualifying lap here tonight in Azerbaijan, but there's plenty of chances during the race, of course, safety car-wise, strategy-wise. You never know. I'm just going to take a quick sip, and then we are ready to rumble. Yo, Martin, how are you doing, buddy? Yeah, America was great, dude. I went to New Orleans, which is quite of a dangerous city. We just the first day we got there, we were a little bit tired, but we decided to go out on the street anyway. And we went to one of the most famous streets there, Bourbon Street, well known for, I don't know, something. I think jazz, but I'm not sure. And it was the weekend of the gay parade, so there was a gay parade. And all of a sudden, we saw someone getting beaten up. It was like a street musician. And according to my mom, they stole his money, drove away, and then there was a guy who just beat him up on their bikes. It was quite funny. And then, yeah, I mean, that was the first day, so we already got a very strange impression there. The next day we had a breakfast, and man, it was the best breakfast I have ever had. It was delicious. It was nice. It was So yeah, the food there is nice in New Orleans. I mean, I ate the stomach of the stomach and the liver of a pig, which is called Cajun. I mean, Cajun is like a typical sort of people there in New Orleans, and they make food like that. And I also had an alligator, so that was very nice. Apart from that, we didn't really do too much in New Orleans. We went straight to the beach, and there we had a very nice couple of days. I mean, I've been there for like 9 days. But yeah, no, I mean, America, the people are so nice. And, you know, a lot of guys say, yeah, Americans are very, I don't know, something. I personally don't feel like that. Like, all of the Americans I talk to are really, really nice. So, yeah, it was a nice experience. Once again, I go every 2 years, so... Yeah, it says a new thing. New Orleans is very French. It is very French. It was very nice. Especially talking French to a couple of guys. My French isn't that good, but like I was able to have a conversation. Especially my mom and my grandma. They both speak French very well, so they were able to have a little conversation with a couple of guys. But me, I just listened and, you know, chill. But yeah, no, the food was really good. I mean, we also had beignets, which was actually there was a cafe which was called Café du Monde, which means everyone's cafe or something like that. I don't know. And they only had coffee, Coke, and beignets. Dude, it was delicious. I mean, not well, Coke as in Coca-Cola. They call it Coke over there. So let's talk about the strategies here, because I saw there was a lot of different strategies. Mr. Wiggles and Billy G starting on the medium tires, Tank on the hard tires, Mitrandir and the V-Car, and also Doran in the top 6 there on the medium tires. We've got Prep, Ellie, Burley, Origulas, Simo, and all the way at the back of the grid, Cox on the hard tires. The rest of the guys are on the medium tires, so it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to say that Stank is going to lose a couple of positions, because that... I mean, the distance from the start of the line until turn 1 isn't that very long, but I think a couple of guys will be able to throw it down the inside of Stank. Maybe Stank has to go down the inside straight away, but that would be very difficult. Obviously, when the guys behind him are having a very decent start there on the medium tires. Mr. Smoke in the chat says, so you're saying you've gained about 100 pounds in weight. That is not true. Actually, I measured myself before going to the United States and coming back, and I actually lost 1 kilogram, which is, let me double check. Oh, maybe 1.5 pounds, maybe 2. I don't know. What is the pound-kilo ratio anyway?